TNN Motorsports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
For years, the man in the Blue Oldsmobile has been the bridesmaid, the perennial number 2. But yesterday, on the strength of 7 national event wins, the professor, as he's known, achieved a lifelong goal. Warren Johnson has been crowned the 1992 Winston Pro Stock champion. By contrast, 2 funny car combatants have locked horns in a gritty battle to the finish. Defending champion John Force has experience and determination. Cruz Pendragon has the momentum. Force is bound to burn it to the ground if necessary, and has. But 4 consecutive event victories have given Cruz the points lead. In Top Fuel, 2 veterans have swapped the lead for the last 4 events. Joe Amato is struggling with a new crew chief and engine combination, while Kenny Bernstein fights for round-by-round consistency. Joe's 5th Winston Championship is well within reach, while Kenny could be the first driver ever to be crowned in Top Fuel and Funny Car. The quarter-mile drama plays itself out next on one of the true super tracks, the Texas Motorplex in Dallas, Texas, at the 7th Annual Cheap Auto Parts Nationals.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and welcome to our coverage of the Cheap Auto Parts Nationals. We'll talk more about records in a bit. Right now, let's talk about the Top Fuel points chase with Joe Amato. Joe, this has to be a mistake-free weekend.
Well, that's how you win world championships, by having a team that gives you a car that goes down the track every time and wins rounds.
When your longtime crew chief Tim Richards left 3 races ago, a lot of people, even your biggest fans, thought he's in big trouble.
Yeah, everybody kind of wrote us off. You know, I'm sure they thought we were dead in the water, but you know, Tim Richards left, and I wish him the best of luck. But Doug Herbert's team and Jim Brissett volunteered their help and their combination, and Jeff Rogers and my whole team stepped right in, and they've done such a tremendous job. I mean, I'm going quicker and faster than I've gone in my career, and hopefully we're having a lot more fun racing. I'm enjoying it a lot, and we're winning. So hopefully we can do it and win us a 5th world championship.
We'll be watching.
Thank you.
Let's join Brock Yates right now with another driver who's locked in an all-important point struggle.
Well, Steve, this was the funny car that at mid-season looked like it was going to carry John Force easily to his 3rd straight Winston Championship, and suddenly here comes a guy named Cruz Pendragon, and he tipped the whole deal upside down. Right now, John, it looks like it's now or never, literally, here in Texas.
Well, it is. It's this is it. I don't believe in miracles, and I don't go into Pomona counting on a guy getting beat first round or not qualifying. We got to take him out here or shoot a long shot at Pomona, but we've been very aggressive. This isn't the car that had the points lead. We left that one in Topeka. This is a brand new piece, and we're struggling with it, but I think it's going to be okay.
John, let me ask you, how would you set the car up and run the car if you had a giant points lead that you weren't playing catch-up? Would you race this thing any differently than you're going to do now?
No, actually, probably what we'd be doing is testing for next year, but like you say, there's a lot of money at stake here. You know, our sponsors have put us here financially, and that's what it takes, and we got to produce. It's got to go down here or it's over. In my opinion, Austin, Bernie, and I, we've talked about it. We either break their backs or they break ours, and that's the name of the game.
Okay, either way, it's going to be a great, great drag race as we watch the funny cars go, but we've also got Pro Stock to deal with, and that contest, well, that's completely different. For more on that, let's go to Bob Fry.
Thanks, Brock. Well, they say that all good things come to them that waits, and them waited a long time to win this championship. Warren, you finally won the Winston World Championship, and you told me that happy might not be the right word to describe your feelings.
Well, you're probably right. For this particular instance, I think probably relieved is the best choice of words. It's taken us a while to get here, but I've enjoyed the journey.
You have an opportunity to have a fun weekend this time. You're at a track that can handle all the power you can dish out, and you're really playing with house money. It doesn't make any difference what you do as far as the number of rounds you go or if you win the race.
Well, that's really not going to change our game plan at all. Over the year, we've gone in there with the intention of qualifying as well as we possibly can for the particular race, grind out as many rounds as we possibly can get, and hopefully win the race, and that's not going to change here.
How quick can the cars go this weekend?
Well, I would say if it doesn't get too warm today, we're probably looking at somewhere in the low 17s, maybe a 7-0 if everything goes right.
This car runs a 7.0. That'll be another one in the win column for WJ. Now let's pick up action in round 2 of Top Fuel and go back to Steve Evans.
All right, thank you, Bob Fry. And here is Ed McCullough. He has won the last 2 of 3 NHRA national events, and he's going to get a free ride here in round number 2 because there is nobody in the other lane. Ed McCullough has a bye run.
Well, of course, Steve, Ed McCullough, one of the greats in funny car racing, made his switch with the Larry Miner team this year into the Top Fuel cars with heavy backing from McDonald's. They had a shaky start and then came out with a major win at the U.S. Nationals. So Ed McCullough would have raced Gene Snow possibly in round number 2 had it not been for a wild crash in round number 1 on the part of the Texan team.
Well, I'll tell you, it was scary. Gene Snow was up against Don Prudhomme. Prudhomme in the near lane, Snow over in the far lane. Gene had not even planned on running this race. He brought this car here hoping to sell it. Qualified well and thought, well, let's have some fun and maybe make some money. Watch the Snow car in the far lane. It happens very fast. Right at the finish line, the left rear tire explodes. Snow into the wall, across the racetrack in front of Prudhomme, who slowed after he smoked the tires. And I'll tell you, this was one the Snowman was real lucky to escape. But he did absolutely not a scratch, as he was left in only the pod of the Top Fuel dragster. That car performing as well from a constructive standpoint as you could possibly ask. We really were worried about foot or leg injuries, lower extremities, and look at this. He was out of the car, no problem. Maybe a little warm in the rear end area, but they took care of that right away. Ooh, that felt good.
Okay, let's take another look at this. In the right lane, Prudhomme has smoked the tires and shut it off. As Snow, as you see the tire explode, and he hits the wall very hard. But as Steve said, the integrity of the cockpit area holds together, and he is well protected as he slides across the racetrack into the opposite fence.
Now watch how the chassis just crushes right up to the bulkhead in front of his feet. That's the way it ought to happen.
Gene Snow is more mad than hurt, I think. Gene, you all right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I never did see Prudhomme, and I don't even know what happened. Did it blow a tire? What happened?
Apparently about 1,200 feet, it looked like a left rear tire. Something happened to it.
Gummit, I've never, you know me, I've only been in one little crash in one of these things. That thing was doing all this stuff. I said, hang on, Snow, what are you going to do? I even turned the fuel shutoffs off. It's unbelievable. It didn't hurt me.
We're glad of that.
Thank you. I appreciate the concern, everybody.
Okay, back to the Ed McCullough single that he's going to have obviously a lot at stake here because he has lane choice on what is a very difficult racetrack here at Dallas, Steve.
Well, it's only difficult because it's so good. It doesn't just have a concrete launch pad. It's concrete from starting line to finish line. Nowhere are you hooked up like you are here at the Motorplex. Ooh, Lee Beard liked that one. A 4.863 elapsed time. Huge speed. 297.42 miles an hour. So the Ace Car is quite a shot, even though he had no competition. Bob's at the starting line with Lee Beard.
Car ran a 486, but that top end speed of 297 is awesome, Lee.
Yeah, it's been running that way here since Saturday. That's the it's went 486, 486, 485, and another 486, and all the speed's been very good. We're pleased with the setup on the McDonald's car.
Ought to be. That thing ran 297. It is really running well.
Meanwhile, back in the pits, Bob Fry, that is the other half of the McDonald's team. That is Cruz Pedregon's funny car, crew chief Larry Meyer and company, getting ready to face Mark Oswald as we go on with more for the Chief Auto Parts Nationals here in Dallas, Texas. Stick with us.
Welcome back to our coverage of the NHRA Chief Auto Parts Nationals from the Texas Motorplex in Ennis, Texas. There you see the four-time Winston champion, Joe Amato. This race could be critical if he's going to win a fifth. In fact, this round could be critical. Coming up later will be Kenny Bernstein, his arch rival, the guy just ahead of him in the points. Amato's got to win here to stay in competition, really. And he's up against one tough hombre. This is Rance McDaniel. McDaniel qualified only number 10 with a 490, but a lot of people feel there's more potential than that in the automobile. The privateer out of Central California. Joe Amato qualified number 2 with the ride of his life at 4.79, but Bernstein qualified number 1 and so far has those bonus points. Rance McDaniel qualified, as we said, number 10 at a 4.90. Now, the man McDaniel raced in round 1 became a member of the club nobody wants to join. Not intentionally, anyway. Watch and you'll see what happens. Doug Herbert, left-hand side of your screen. It's called the Blowover Club. Ooh, and a lot of drivers have been through it. This was a first for Doug Herbert and one he will never forget. The front end gets a little too high. The driver can't react quick enough. Few can. The steering wheel is meant to come off like that in case of emergencies, and Herbert scrambles out. What's he worried about? Fire, of course. Wouldn't you? But he was okay. The car, a complete catastrophe. Brock?
Let's take another look at this. In the far lane, you can see Herbert gets a good launch, but carries the front wheels, and the air begins to get under that chassis. Now remember, he's running well over 100 miles an hour, even though he's just a few yards away from the starting line. And there's no way even the most experienced drivers can get out of the throttle in time. Fortunately, though, Doug Herbert unhurt, and the chassis stays together as he gets up against the fence. The NHRA paramedics checked him out, and Steve Evans was with him.
The blowover, the worst fear of any top fuel driver. You had no defense. It was gone from the minute you stepped on the pedal.
Yeah, it started coming up a little bit. It held about 1.5 feet, but it does that every time it leaves the line. So I wasn't real worried. And I've been in a lot of boat blowovers before. And as soon as it got up, as soon as it probably got up about 6 feet, I realized what was happening. I got my foot off it, and I pulled the fuel shut-offs, and it was just too late.
These things are hard on top fuel drivers' wives, too, right, Sony?
I just was glad when he was all right.
You are indeed all right. The car, however, badly wounded, and that puts his opponent into the next round against Joe Amato.
And here's the round. Rance McDaniel, the beneficiary of that blowover. He went on to win that race and will now face Joe Amato, who is mighty, mighty tough, Steve. And he's got a whole lot more at stake, as you said earlier, than simply blowing away Rance McDaniel and advancing to the next round.
Okay, play Walter Minnie. You're Joe Amato, and you're late off the starting line. You just saw Rance McDaniel in front of you, but you have a bigger top end. Amato wins at 488, 294 to McDaniel's 4.99, 288 miles an hour. You were behind there for just a minute, though. Still, you ride with Joe Amato as he makes that left turn off this long, long quarter-mile drag strip. Here is Shelly Anderson in her rookie season as a top fuel driver. That car is thundering.
Well, he's going to have to thunder, Steve, because Kenny Bernstein is her opponent, and Bernstein and Joe Amato are locked in a seesaw battle for the points lead. And right now, Bernstein has it by just a few points, but the man who's watching him is Joe Amato. Let's go down with Steve with him.
Well, Joe, it's always good news when you win, but it can be bad news when you lose lane choice, and you have. Your 488 doesn't quite match McCullough.
Well, lane choice isn't that important here. We're just happy to get the win late and just keep getting the rounds, You also could have smoked the tires if we had it too much hopped up. We're just trying to dance with it lightly.
Good job.
Dancing lightly has not been the order of the day here because 15 out of the 16 top fuel qualifiers were in the Ford, the fastest top fuel field in history, Steve.
And Shelly Anderson was right in the middle of it. Qualified 8 at a 488, beat Jack Ostrander in round number 1. Kenny Bernstein, as we said, qualified number 1, beat Tommy Johnson Jr. in round 1. And let's go back to last evening under the lights here at the Motorplex. The king of speed became the king of elapsed time as well at a 4.792, the quickest ever recorded in the quarter mile. Kenny Bernstein celebrates with his lady Cheryl, and right now he's got another lady to contend with, only this was not quite as friendly as Cheryl.
I guess not. Shelly's dad, Brad, and her brother, Randy, are great alcohol funny car racers and an excellent, excellent drag racing family. She knows her business here, believe me.
Oh, they lead together. Bernstein loses traction and loses an engine. A horrific fire as about 14 quarts of 60-weight oil go up in flames, as does Bernstein's points lead. We're not figuring in the contingent points now for record or low AT of the event. We can't do that till it's over. But the actual points on paper now, that puts Amato back in front. What a disaster for KB.
Okay, let's take another look at how it happened. There's Kenny Bernstein in the far lane. Good launch by Bernstein, but you start to see the smoke, and then moments later, the fire, which spells disaster for him. Not only is he out of this race, but Joe Amato, his arch rival, is still in it, and that's perhaps the most costly part of this whole event.
Kenny, unfortunately, what was potentially a points lead literally went up in flames.
Yeah, Steve, it just smoked the tires out there, rattled them pretty hard, knocked them loose, and then I pedaled it and got back in it when I didn't really see her right away, and it just went to high C, and it blows the engine up when that happens. It's a bad deal.
What you need to do now is hold on to that record through this event.
Yeah, that's for sure. Obviously, with the sun out, maybe that'll help some, but you got Corey and Amato still in there, and, it's all we can do to hang on. I hope that we come out of here halfway decent.
We wish you the best.
Thank you.
So all kinds of drama in the points race, including one that involves this man, John Force. He faces Del Worsham in Funny Car Round 2 as his battle for the championship continues.
$108,000 fans over 4 days here at the Texas Motorplex for the NHRA Cheap Auto Parts Nationals. We're back, everyone. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates. And a lot of them, Brock, were drawn by that night session last evening, hoping to see a world record. And by gosh, Kenny Bernstein gave it to them. But now they're on their feet for one of their own guys. Up against Corey McLennan, and that car will be the yellow nuclear banana of the Texan, Eddie Hill.
Eddie's had a great season in the later stages. We saw him have a big crash at Denver earlier, but he's been in the finals in 3 of the last 5 NHRA championship events. One of the great guys in this business, he and his wife Percy and Fuzzy Carter, their crew chief, work hard to keep that car running, and he qualified number 4 here.
Corey McLennan then, Anaheim, California. He is still in the points chase, especially with Bernstein out early. If Amato should go out the following round and Corey have a good race here and in Pomona in 2 weeks, he could still be the Winston Championship. You heard Kenny Bernstein mention his name. Bernstein has not forgotten the Mac Attack car.
No question about that. Eddie Hill with lane choice here, but only by a little bit. So with everybody running so hard in the fours, this race is a toss-up.
Oh, yeah. Corey Mack had the lead off the mark, but here comes the Texan. Fuzzy Carter said, yes, remember the Alamo, 487, 287.72 miles an hour. Hill has won it. Let's go to Bob Fry with the Fuzzy one.
Nothing like a 487 in front of these Texas fans, huh?
Really, that was real nice, and the sun come out and changed a little bit, but looked like we was all right on that run, and maybe it'll cool off, and maybe we can run a little quicker this evening.
I'm not sure an 87 is good enough to win this thing today, the way these cars are running.
It might take a 480 to win the deal, but we'll see.
Well, we'll surely see as the final 4 is set here. Eddie Hill will face Shelly Anderson. Eddie will have the lane choice in that pairing. The other pair, Joe Amato, still in that hunt with Kenny Bernstein for the points lead, faces Ed McCullough. The ace has lane choice. Let's go to Steve.
487, right there, kind of.
Yeah, that's low ET of the round so far, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not quite, but close.
Oh, okay, well, we'll see what happens. That's good for lane choice, isn't it?
And well, the best news is you're not hurting parts. That's something you have been doing.
It looks like it's alive and well, and felt like it ran all the way to the end, so that's an encouraging trend. I hope we can keep that, maybe expand on that a little.
See you in the final 4.
All right, see you.
Right now, it's round 2 action in the funny cars here at the Cheap Auto Parts Nationals as we watch from inside the cockpit Al Hoffman, who qualified number 6 here. He got by Paul Smith in round number 1. He and Tom Anderson, his crew chief, always tough. And Gordon Mineo, well, he can step up and bite you every once in a while, Steve.
Oh, yeah, he's been in a final round this year. He's qualified number 1 at 2 NHRA National. This just hasn't quite made the winner's circle yet. And he lives within the boundaries of the Metroplex. I visited his shop a couple of weeks ago. Boy, it's a beauty up in Rockwall, Texas. Horses and everything. All right, Al Hoffman from the state of Florida. A guy who's won, 3 NHRA national events this year. His wife Helen out in front of the car. And a lot of people next year think he may be the man to beat. That was Ann Mineo, who's been on the road with Gordon for every race the 90s and of the 70s when they were really a red-hot commodity. They took the 80s off. Hoffman in the near lane, Mineo in the far lane. You're riding with Al Hoffman. He's all over the track, but he's at the finish line first. A very nice 5.24 here in the heat of the day. 284 miles an hour. Mineo smoked the tires and just coasted through. Well, if you call 107 miles an hour coasting, but I guess you can. All right, up next, this is the man to beat, Cruz Pendragon, who has won 4 NHRA funny car titles in a row, dating clear back to Brainerd then Indy, Maple Grove, PA, and Topeka, Kansas. But, I'll tell you, here's a car that's really been running lately, Brock, Mark Oswald.
No question. Ran a 5:16 in the first round, and he will have lane choice against Cruz. We really had problems. He was all over the racetrack in his first round victory with a 5:53, but that is hardly indicative of the potential of that automobile, so don't count on that. It's going to be an interesting race, but before we do that, let's go to Steve with Al Hoffman.
Al Hoffman of 5:24. That's a sensational laps time.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. We ran 16 in the first round. We want to take a chance on smoking tires, backed it off a little bit, and figured they'd get us through this round. And as usual, Tommy hit it pretty close.
Well, John Force is hoping you can take care of Pendragon for him.
Well, John ain't alone. I'm hoping I can take care of him and John at the finals.
Well, there was a time earlier in the season that people thought maybe Hoffman could win the championship. He's fallen back a little bit, but I'll tell you, he's always in the hunt for the win in any of these big events. But right now, let's go down to the starting line where we watch Cruz Pendragon's crew getting him ready to go. The number 2 qualifier, he beat Jack Wyatt in round number 1. And Steve, he's going to go against Mark Oswald, who's had kind of an up and down season.
But lately, it's been more up than down. His crew chief, Bill Schultz, and the Petosa brothers from Staten Island, New York, they figured out how to give Mark a huge top-end charge, like 297 miles an hour, 298. That means they can be a little lazy up the starting line, not smoke the tires, and make it up at the other end. Do you think John Forrest is rooting for Mark Oswald? Oh, you don't know the half of it. Staged and ready. Oh, it's a beauty. It's Oswald. Oswald, and Oswald loses an engine in the lights. Oh, this is not a pretty sight. Oswald, into the fence. We can't see much through that black smoke. And we're just waiting to get some word on where the car is and what condition Mark might be in. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the body that's on fire. Do not think Mark Oswald is in that inferno. He is not. That is the fiberglass body that came off when it hit the wall. The car was to the left.
Okay, this is the race, and it was a good one. Oswald in the near lane making a good, clean pass. This accident does not happen until after he gets through the lights. And with a good pass at a 5:29, so Mark Oswald was on a roll here. He loses the race, but only by a wink to Pendragon. There you see the explosion literally as he hits the finish line. And suddenly the car is engulfed in flames as the engine explodes, and he veers out of control and catches the wall on the near side in his lane after he crosses the line. There you see the car as he fights for control. Visibility almost totally gone. The cockpit full of smoke and fire. He hits the wall very hard on this side at well over 200 miles an hour, and then across the racetrack engulfed in smoke.
Well, I have the best news of the day. Mark Oswald is okay. His second fiery crash of the last 3 years here at the Texas Motorplex. You are okay, Mark?
Yeah, I'm fine, Steve. It's just a shame. You know, he was out on me a little bit, and our car made the move where it normally does, and I went right around him, and then something let go, so I don't know what it was.
This has not been a good track for you in funny cars.
No, it really hasn't. Really hadn't. You know, I thank the Petosa brothers. They've really stuck by us. It's a shame what happened to their car, but we'll be back again another day.
The crew down here were very careful taking your helmet off, fearful of burns or the helmet fit better than it did before the fire.
Oh, I'm a little dizzy, I'll tell you that.
All right, Mark Oswald is okay. The car, however, is probably a total wreck.
So thankfully, Mark Oswald walks away from a very bad crash here at the Chief Nationals. We'll be back with more from Texas right after this.
Here at the Cheap Auto Parts Nationals, that is Shelly Anderson, hard at work on her Top Fuel dragster, along with her crew chief, Frank Bradley, to get ready to go up against Eddie Hill in the Top Fuel Final Four. Of course, that'll be coming up, but maybe in the background you hear some nitro noise. Well, that's John Force. It is time for the second round of Funny Car to continue. Force will be up against Del Worsham. And Brock, we've been saying it all along. You said it in your open. It's must-win time for that man.
No question, and he's certainly off to a decent start. He qualified number 1. He has lane choice against Del Worsham in the other lane with a 5:13 front. It's not by much, a 5:19 for the young Del Worsham. So Worsham, boy, I'll tell you what, this is a great racing family, as we said earlier, and out of Orange, California. He can put a sting on anybody in this business.
And doesn't John Force know it? Force, with his brand new race car, almost set a world record with that 5:07 in qualifying. Cruz Pendragon still holds it at a 5:07, a little quicker on the thousandth digit. Austin Goyle working on that toothpick. He's gone through about 1.5 pounds of those little beauties since his points thing tightened up a few races ago. John Force, who at midseason appeared to be a shoo-in, is now fighting for his life. He's got to get by Del Worsham. He knows that Pendragon is already through this round. He's going to fall 200 points further behind, minimum, if he can't beat Worsham. Worsham away first. Worsham with a whole shot. Wow, what a car race. John Force, a 5:16 at 289 to Worsham's 5:20 at 285. It looked closer because of the hole shot. Let's go to Bob.
Austin, you guys just keeping pace, 5:16.
Well, that was our intent. We figured the track conditions may have deteriorated a little with the oil downs and the sunshine, and that was what we called a 15 or a 16 to get us by this round, and that's what we got to do, win one more round.
Well, you're by this one, into the next one.
But I'll tell you what, Bob Fry, not by much. Del Worsham in the far lane gave John Force virtually everything he feared. A great launch by the youngster, and then a terrific pass. It was only in the last 4 or 5 feet, perhaps, that John Force drove by Del Worsham. There you see it right here with a giant top-end burst to take the victory.
Well, John, you got through the second round, but barely. That was close.
Yeah, it was. I was really concentrating on trying to shallow stage the car to try to get a run out of her, and kind of was a little bit late on the line. It moved around out there and just drove around him.
Keeping pace with Cruz Pendragon.
Yeah, we ain't having no luck, but you know, you got to say the boys are trying. I mean, Oswald put a car down there. I mean, Billy Schultz says don't like a rookie going to win a championship, so the guys are definitely trying to help me, and hell, they're making a great race of it, and I'm just sorry that happened to Oswald.
Yeah, we all are. A 5:16, John.
We're okay.
All right, you heard it from the man. 5:16, we're okay. Well, we'll see. As we go down to the other end, as Gary Bolger and Freddie Neely get ready to go, and more funny car round 2 action. And Steve, Freddie Neely, a lot of people feel is really due to win one of these things.
Well, they must have seen his 5.09 in round number 1. But as far as I'm concerned, the brightest story of the entire Cheap Auto Parts Nationals has been that car owned by Dale Creasy, the Creasy family out of Chicago, driven by Gary Bolger. You talk about your kind of hobby race car. The Magnetos were about 3 series down the line from what is contemporary. The fuel pumps don't even match on the car. There's no computer, and he locks up the clutch manually with a button on the steering wheel, ran a 5:11. Freddie Neely, well, he's never had this kind of equipment in his racing career. And with a guy like Ronnie Swearingen, anything could happen here to the forever young car. Swearingen gives it a little love tap and walks away. I've told you about Bolger and Neely. They're only 2/100ths of a second apart, the best elapsed time of the Cheap Auto Parts Nationals. Look at Bolger staying with Neely. Ooh, and Neely sneezes a blower. Bolger goes to the final 4. Unbelievable. 5:23 at only 258 miles an hour. Shutting it off to save the engine, probably. Neely, as you saw, some problems at a 5:46.
Let's take another look as we watch Gary Bolger with a great hole shot in the far lane. Terrific reaction time with that fairly crude setup he's got, but it didn't seem to bother him as he goes on to victory against Freddie Neely, who loses it right there with that blower explosion, and that seals his fate as Gary Bolger goes on into the final 4. But believe me, it won't get any easier for Gary because he faces the man, John Force. In that final 4 confrontation, Force has lane choice and a bit in his teeth because he is in a contest with the other man in the final 4, Cruz Pendragon. Cruz against Al Hoffman. This is going to be a good one with Pendragon having lane choice. Let's go to Steve.
With a very used hot rod, Gary Bolger goes to the final 4. You qualify with like a 5:11, and here we are.
Little guys are back. Watch out for us.
I mean, that car, the fuel pumps don't match. The Magnetos are old. There's no computer. You engage the clutch manually.
It's exciting, though. At least, of course, this wasn't too exciting. I didn't blow up. I didn't hit the wall, but maybe next round.
Well, let's hope not. That car's running way too well, and you guys are having way too much fun.
Who's the next big dog to fall?
Who cares? You'll get him anyway.
That's true. Thanks, guys.
Sure, it's great to see guys smiling in this business. It can be pretty serious at times, but Gary Bolger and his pals, they're having fun. Right now, though, the stakes are high in the Joe Amato pit as his crew gets ready for him to face Ed the Ace McCulloch in the Final Four here at the Chief National. Stick with us.
Before we continue our coverage of the NHRA Cheap Auto Parts Nationals, a quick word about NHRA Now, presented by Castrol GTX. It's a 24-hour drag racing information line with up-to-the-minute news on your favorite drivers and events. You just call 1-900-468-NHRA. Charges will appear automatically on your phone bill. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Bob Bryan. These are Pro Stock automobiles. 2,350 pounds, 5 speeds, 500 cubic inches. They are just terrors to try to get down a racetrack. In this pairing, Rusty Glidden, who barely qualified at a 7:21, upset Larry Morgan in round number 1 with a huge hole shot. Now he's up against Don Beverly. Beverly, Chester, Virginia, has far more driving experience than Rusty. In fact, most people do. This is only about his 3rd NHRA national event. The son, of course, of the 10-time champion Bob Glidden. There's Kurt Johnson, who's the crew chief on the Warren Johnson-owned Don Beverly White Oldsmobile.
Steve, these are probably the 2 best backup cars in the business. Warren Johnson, of course, the owner of Don Beverly's car, and multi-time Pro Stock champion Bob Glidden, the owner of his son Rusty's car. And Rusty gets a tremendous hole shot on Don Beverly. A great pass by the young man.
And for the 2nd round in a row, Rusty wins it on driving a 7:23 defeats a quicker 7:20. 190 miles an hour to 192 miles an hour. Rusty Glidden must have heard the relays click in that Christmas tree.
He must have, because he cuts a nearly perfect light, a 419 to Beverly's 471, and really that is exactly where the race was won on the starting line, because as you said earlier, it was Beverly who ran a lower ET, but it is Rusty Glidden, the youngster from the Glidden family, who goes on to victory. A great effort on the part of the youngster. Let's get on to Steve with him.
I win?
Yeah. No, Rusty did not win the Indiana lottery, just won a drag race, but we'll give him a moment to calm down and go back down to the starting line as his father, Bob Glidden, gets ready to go against Vince Curry. Bob will have lane choice in this one. Now, let's go back down to Steve Evans with a more relaxed Rusty Glidden.
That was a pretty good drive, rookie. You leapt on him. The car was all over the racetrack, and here we are.
Yeah, it was all over the place, but at the top of each gear change, I looked over and I never saw him, so I wasn't about to let out.
Now, if your dad wins in this round, you know what happens, don't you?
I might have to beat him in the semifinals.
He just might.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting one, as Vince Curry, as I said earlier, he does not have lane choice against Bob Glidden, and that could be trouble because Glidden, of course, has had problems earlier this season, Steve, but now he's started to come out a lot stronger late in the year.
Yeah, he's tougher now, and Vince Curry knows that. Vince will be looking for a Rusty Glidden-like reaction time off of the starting line. Curry and his wife, they run such a nice racing team. No major bucks involved here. They do it pretty much on their own. They make all of the NHRA national events. They've been to a final round before, and someday they're going to win one. But right now, it's Bob Glidden, fresh in his mind, is watching his own son, Rusty. Glidden has lane choice, and Brock says he took the far side, and you can see why as the Curry car's moving around. Rusty watching from the far end. And Etta knows it'll be father against son in the Final Four as Glidden overcomes a pretty good hole shot. A 7:17, 191 miles an hour, defeated a 7:27 at 190. And up next is Bruce Allen along with Scott Jeffrey on in the dreaded Dodge.
This is going to be a good one. Bruce Allen from right down the road here in the Dallas area against Jeffrey, still looking for his first national event win. But before that, let's go down to Steve.
Robert, you have created a monster, and his name is Rusty.
I'll tell you, Steve, he's doing a good job here. He's still got a slow car, but nevertheless, he's doing a good job driving.
Well, between jumping up and down and celebrating his own win and cheering for you, Victor, he said, guess I'll just have to beat him in the Final Four. Huh?
Well, it'll be a good race, I think. It'll be a really good race.
Now, wait a minute. Who does Etta cheer for in this deal?
Well, she can't hardly lose, you know. One of the motorcraft cars are going to get to the finals with the way it looks, so we're happy. I'm telling you, we're happy.
It's going to be a classic coming up soon.
Good to see him win a couple rounds.
Speaking of classics, Steve, we've got a good one here as Scott Jeffrey backs into position against Bruce Allen. They both qualified 4 and 5 almost together ET-wise. Jeffrey beat Joe Lapone in round number 1. Mike Thomas fell to Bruce Allen in the first round. So these cars almost perfectly matched up and a couple of fine young drivers.
Absolutely. Jeffrion has been working intently on his reaction times, trying to add a little plus to the cockpit for that Dodge team, trying to get his first national event win. He'd like it here. This is a good track for the Dodge. The Dodge had lane choice. Bruce Allen in the near lane. And it is the Dodge. Scott Jeffrion wins it at 7:19 to Bruce Allen 7:22, 191 miles an hour. And I happen to think that lane choice may not matter that much in Top Fuel or Funny Car. I think it's a big deal when you get into the pro stocks. Warren Johnson has lane choice, and he's on that far side. They like it over there.
Yeah, they sure do. As he goes against another Oldsmobile driver, Mark Powick out of Ohio. As you said, Johnson lane choice with a 7:11, a good strong run. Johnson, of course, is already the 1992 Winston champion, having pursued that title, as you said earlier, for almost 2 decades, and having been runner-up, 6 times prior to winning the championship.
But it hasn't been a shabby year for Mark Powick, his best ever. He won in Houston and also in Seattle. Warren Johnson, the new champ, I said, hey, now you can put the number 1 on for a change. You know what he said? I swear. You know, 1 is lighter than 2. There's not as much mass in the number. Believe it.
Well, Powick, he upset Jerry Ekman, who has had problems later in the season in round number 1. Johnson beat Jim Yates. So the number 1 qualifier versus the number 9 qualifier. That is Mark Powick at the front of your screen. There is the champion. That 2 soon to be a number 1 in that Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile side by side, literally side by side. They pound him into high gear, and the winner is Warren Johnson at 7:13, 193 miles an hour. Powick is 7:23, 188 miles an hour. You saw his son Kurt now, who's come over from the Don Beverly team, who was defeated in this round. So Kurt always seems to have a car to work on, doesn't he?
And in that case, it'll be his father's, Warren Johnson, who will go against Scott Jeffrey in the Dodge. Warren will have the lane choice at a very stout 7:13 pass. It's the Glidens in the other half of the Final Four. Bob, the father, will have lane choice against his son, Rusty. Okay, back in the pits. That is crew chief Tom Anderson on the Al Huffman Funny Car, getting ready to face Cruz Pedregon in the Final Four. We'll be back with more of the Chief Auto Parts Nationals right after this. This is the scene in the pit area of the Texas Motorplex as we get ready to go with the Final Four in Top Fuel. Hi, I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans and Bob Fry. And the first pair, Steve Evans, is Eddie Hill, and he is going to go against young Shelly Anderson, who is upset-minded, no doubt about that.
Well, when Bernstein smoked the tires and the motor and lost to Shelly Amato down the far end off camera, says Bernstein always has trouble beating blondes. You may remember Laurie Johns, he could never get by her in the first round, even if he had a car 50 miles an hour faster. And she's beat Eddie a couple of times. Now remember, all the pro stock cars with lane choice took the far side. Well, the Top Fuel cars like the near side. And of course, they've got the big wheelbase, the Talf handle, the 5,000 horsepower, that giant wing for downforce. Eddie Hill in front. Eddie Hill extends his lead, and Eddie Hill goes to the final round. Ursi says, yes, so long, Shelly. 483. Woo, 287 miles an hour to losing 507. Let's go down to the starting line to Bob Fry again with the crew chief.
483, another great shot. And Fuzzy, you guys really seem confident before this round.
Yeah, the car's just real soft and it's running real easy, and we just basically left it alone and it just run a little better. We opened the flow control up down track a little bit on that run and it picked it up real good.
Well, picked it up, and they're picking up rounds one at a time. Great job.
Okay, Bob, the second half of the Final Four coming to the line. That is Joe Amato, as we said earlier, in the thick of the title fight with Kenny Bernstein, who's already gone. Against him, well, I'll tell you what, the ace, Ed McCullough, he has come on so strong in the last 3 or 4 races that a lot of guys in the pits consider him a favorite here right now against Joe Amato. But right now, let's go down to Steve with Eddie Hill.
Eddie, the secret to success here at the Chief National seems to be don't blow over backwards or hit anything, and you can win it.
Well, yeah, that's good. The lane choice might not help, might not hurt too much sometimes either.
Well, 483 might get it for you.
Oh, good, 480. That felt like a good one. Excellent. Yeah, maybe lane choice in the final. That'd be a neat way to have this have this go.
You got about 50,000 Texans in the stands riding with you.
If we win this deal, I think they're going to tear the stands down. What do you think?
Don't tell Billy Meyer that owns the place that. See you soon.
Okay, we know Eddie Hill is going to be in the finals. Let's see who his opponent will be. Up on top with our onboard camera, that is Joe Amato. He's getting ready to go against Ace McCullough. And the ace, Steve, I'll tell you what, he definitely wants to win this thing.
But Joe Amato virtually has to win this thing. Kenny Bernstein has opened the door for him. Will Ed McCullough slam it shut? Staging very carefully. Both wanting maximum rollout on the beams. McCullough is ahead. Look to your left. And it is McCullough. A 486 to a 491. The ace was off the mark first and at the finish line first. We got to have another look at the start of this race. It was McCullough by a clean 300 right off the starting line.
There it is. The ace, a great launch in the near lane. And that is what decides the victory. A very, very good drag race. Both cars hooked up on this concrete-based quarter mile all the way down, straight and true, but it's the big horsepower and the great starting line effort on the part of the ace that puts him into the final. So there you have it, the Top Fuel final here at the Chief Auto Parts Nationals. The ace, Ed McCullough, versus the local favorite, Eddie Hill. Eddie will have lane choice, but by only a few thousandths of a second. Let's go to Steve with Joe Amato.
Well, Joey, a heck of a drag race, just the wrong results for your team.
Well, you know, that's the way this championship chase has been going. Just when you get a chance to do good, you know, you can't take advantage. But we're going to the final points race with the final race of the year, and we'll be ahead by 50 or 60 points, and I guess that'll make it exciting for the fans.
You'd love to see somebody take that record away from Bernstein and put those points in your column. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, the air got a little too hot today. You know, we were hoping it would have stayed cold and we could have got to the final and made a run at it. But the way it is right now, I don't think we have a chance. But we're glad to just be here. We got the lead back, and we'll see what happens.
On to Pomona. The championship goes.
Okay, Joe Amato still up. Never, ever loses his enthusiasm for this sport. As we watch the Bob and Rusty Glidden team getting ready to go, they will face each other in the Pro Stock Final Four. So stick with us. We'll be back at the Texas Motorplex right after this. A beautiful aerial shot of the Texas Motorplex, where we'll soon see the funny cars in Final Four competition. But first, let's go to Steve with Ed McCullough.
Ace, if you're looking for a free lunch, I think Bernstein's buying tomorrow.
Well, Bernstein said he might even get me a brewery if I could take Amato out. But, you know, it was a great race. You know, we know we're not really in the hunt for the championship, but we know we can sure screw these guys' days up that think they got it whooped.
486 to a 489. Good race.
Well, you know, this thing's a bracket racer out here today. Go one more round.
And I bet it's got another 486 in it. That's a tough handshake to make.
All right. As Joe Amato and the ace commiserate with each other, let's go back to the starting line where Helen Hoffman gets ready to move her husband Al into the starting position to go against Cruz Pedregon. This is going to be a good race, Steve.
You bet. There's Larry Marr, the crew chief on the Pedregon car. Now, John Force has been counting on guys like Mark Oswald or Al Hoffman to get rid of this Pedregon character, and none of them have been able to do it. If Cruz needs the luck, he's got it. He needs the performance, he's got that too. John Force is getting no help from his friends, and he's a very dear friend, really, of Al Hoffman's. And no bad blood between he and Cruz, other than what you might read in the newspaper. But he really is counting on Al here to do it for him. Not today, Al. Oh, my. Low elapsed time of eliminations for Cruz Pedregon. 5:09 at 283 miles an hour. Just incredible. And Bob Fry was at the starting line to see it all.
Larry, 5:09. Does the word invincible mean anything to you guys?
Well, we've had a lot of luck today, I'll tell you that. We've struggled for quite a while. We knew what the combination was, but we couldn't make it match what the track and the air was doing at the same time. Finally, we think we got it.
Yeah, they struggled to a 5:09.
Okay, Larry Meyer heads down to see Cruz Pedregon at the other end as the pressure cooker inside this car reaches almost unbearable levels. John Force just watched his arch rival Cruz Pedregon lay down a 5:09. He is going to go against upset-minded Gary Bolger as John Force does his burnout with real intensity. The pressure really on him. As the Dale Creasy-owned automobile, the Gary Bolger in cockpit, getting ready to go. They're here. Not a whole lot of pressure on them other than to put away the champion. Going to be a good race. But first, let's go to Steve.
Well, Cruz, you've had the brakes when you needed them and the performance when you've needed it. How about a 5:09?
Whoa. Tell you, Steve, you can't underestimate this team. Well, I don't know what to say. Larry Meyer, the guys are doing a heck of a job. We've had breaks, but, things didn't go our way in the beginning of the year, so, things turn around for you at some point.
You feared Hoffman in that race.
Hoffman, I fear all these guys. If whoever's in the next lane, I fear them. I mean, anybody can step up, as witnessed Bolger and some of the other cars that haven't run the performance lately, but we're happy to be in the final.
Now let's see if John Force can step up.
Well, Steve, it's exactly what Force was not hoping for. He was hoping that Cruz Pedregon would be long gone out of this field, but he now faces a fairly formidable man in Gary Bolger. He's got to get by him to get into the finals and hopefully then to eliminate Cruz Pedregon. It's going to be a tough effort for John Force all the way around.
Well, we saw it in qualifying. Cruz came out and ran a 5:08. Thought he had low ET, the number one spot. Force comes right behind and runs a 5:07. So it is just one of the greatest duels we've seen in NHRA champion drag racing in a long time. Cruz Pedregon and this man, John Force. Austin Coyle walks away. Not much else he can do. Force and Bolger, two terrific drivers. Bolger has a tremendous amount of that match race experience on slick racetracks, but this is not a slick racetrack. And John Force is long gone, a 5:10. Pedregon 09, Force 5:10. That means that Pedregon, though, will have lane choice in the final round. Oh, well, I tell you, I'm tired just watching this stuff. Let's go down to Bob Price. He's holding up.
Austin, this is what they paid to see in the finals, you guys and Cruz.
Well, that's true, but I wish we had the lane choice going in there. But knowing NHRA and the safety safari, they'll probably groom these lanes again, and nothing will be different. And in the final round, that right lane's where we ran that 07. We'll just need to do an 06 for the national record.
The preceding has been a paid commercial by NHRA Safety Safari.
Okay, Bob, let's consider this final. This is going to be a classic. John Force with a 5:10 versus Cruz Pedregon at a 5:09. That gives them the lane choice, but only barely. Let's go to Steve.
John, what a final round, huh? 5:09 to a 5:10. Unfortunately, you're the 10.
Like I said, got him right where we want him. This is it. Going into Pomona, it's got to go down here tonight. We know this car run O's. We wanted a shot at him on Saturday night, and that's what we got. It's going to be cold, dark. Track will be Grilla. We'll see how good this kid really is. If he is, he can have it. If he ain't, I'm sending him home.
Well, the two big names of the year in funny car competition will go head-to-head in the finals here at the Texas Motorplex, and you're looking at one of them, the Cruz Pedregon car. The crew doing the clutch there. Let me take just a moment to invite you to become a member of a very special organization, the National Hot Rod Association. For $48 a year, you get 48 issues of National Dragster, a patch, pen, rule book, and more. And if you order by calling the number on your screen, you'll get a free copy of Diamond P's home video, Drag Racing 91. So, call today. Pro Stock Final Four. Glidden versus Glidden. You're not seeing double. These are identical Ford probes with the exception of the driver's names.
Well, Steve, we can pretty much predict the victory for this man. I would say Rusty is going to give way to seniority here in the Glidden family. There's a lot more at stake for Bob than there is for Rusty. He'll have his chances for a long time to come. But right now, I'm saying it's going to be Bob Glidden and a walk away.
I agree, but there will be a battle for reaction time. That'll be the bragging rights of the Glidden family. Ha! They're identical, but Rusty shuts it off. They both got a 4.5 light. Bob Glidden a 7.14 at 192 miles an hour. He moves into the final round. Rusty had a great day, though.
Good stout pass by Bob Glidden, a 7.14. Let's see who gets lane choice in the other pair. This is Warren Johnson, the new champion in Pro Stock. He will go against the youngster in the Dodge, Scott Jeffreyon. Of course, Warren Johnson relying on monster power in the Oldsmobile, while Scott Jeffreyon has been working hard recently to fine-tune his reaction time. Going to be a good race, but first, let's go to Steve.
Boy, oh boy, Bob, in some circles, they'd call that child abuse. A 7.14.
We're going to need more than the 7.14 in the final, Steve. I don't know what happened to Rusty.
I think he had some problems with it. Kind of slippery near lane.
Yeah, that's why we took the right lane. I thought at mid-track, the left lane's really been tough for our cars. Keep my fingers crossed for the finals.
And now let me guess, Rusty chips in and helps.
Well, he's been helping. We've been kind of working back and forth on the two cars.
Good luck to you.
Thanks. We'll need it.
All right, so Bob Glidden, we know he's going to be in the finals. Let's see if it'll be this man, Warren Johnson, or Scott Jeffreyon in the other lane.
Well, Jeffreyon is devoted to improvement. He's been working with Roy Hill down at the driving school in Rockingham, North Carolina on reaction times, and so far it has really paid off. They've been consistently quicker round by round. You're riding with Scott Jeffreyon in the Dodge. Oh, and Jeffreyon has a whole shot drivers can only dream about. A tenth of a second. Here comes Johnson. Not enough. The Dodge to the final against Glidden with a 7.21. Oh, to a losing 7.15. Jeffreyon really nailed Johnson. 191 miles an hour for the winning car.
Actually, it was a lower ET and a higher top speed for Johnson, but it was a quick 430 light on the part of Scott Jeffreyon that brought him the victory. As we can see here, it was a classic Warren Johnson late race charge, relying on that big Oldsmobile power that almost got it back. But the starting line effort on the part of Scott Jeffreyon puts him into the final against Bob Glidden. So this is the setup in the finals. It will be, of course, Glidden versus Jeffreyon. Glidden has the lane choice, a 7.14 versus a 7.21. And remember, these two raced at the North Star Nationals and Glidden won it.
That was a mega hole shot. Your 7.21 beat his 7.15.
Well, you need those kind of reaction times against Warren Johnson. They don't come any better than him, and he's the new Crown World Champion. He gave me my first big break in drag racing, and all power to him.
You have been working on your reaction time, and it's paid off.
I sure have. Roy Hill and David Hutchins have been helping me an awful lot in that area. And again, I'm just happy to be in the final, and we got one more round.
Just goes to show you it's never too late to go back to school if it's a pro stock driving school.
Okay, that is the John Forrest pit area. They're bowling that big blower on his funny car. He'll go against his arch rival, Cruz Pedregon, in the funny car finals. Coming up.
Well, here at the NHRA Cheap Auto Parts Nationals, the finalists are set in all three pro categories. And I'll tell you what, they are classic, the entire trio. You're looking at the Eddie Hill car, Fuzzy Carter and crew getting it ready to face off against Ed McCullough in the Top Fuel final. But first off, we have got pro stock. And the last time we saw a final round without a General Motors car was the last time these two drivers faced each other in Brainerd back in August. It's Dodge versus Ford. And there you see the Ford probe of Bob Glidden heating up the tires, the burnout as they call it, up against Scott Jeffreyon. And earlier, just before they strapped in, Brock had a chance to talk to both of these drivers.
Scott, your driving is really sharpened up this year, and of course you got the vaunted Dodge power, but you're going against a man with probably as much canny and savvy and experience as anybody in the history of pro stock racing. How are you going to approach this race on that basis?
Well, it sure is true that he does have all that experience, but between David Hutchins in this camp and the help of Roy Hill, I mean, they're trying to put about 40 years experience into my head in a short period of time, so hopefully they've given me enough to get by this round.
Well, of course, I'm really happy that we're in the finals. Scott's been runner-up, I think, at about half the races this year. He's capable of winning any race at any time. In order for us to win, I'll have to do a good job driving, and we'll have to make a good run down the racetrack.
Well, Scott has been runner-up exactly 6 times this year, still seeking his first national event title. There you see a look through the front windshield of the Dodge. The Dodge in the near lane, Glidden to the far lane. Glidden has lane choice, could be a big factor. The short wheelbase Dodge, a little squirrely, completely out of the groove. Geoffrion has to shut it off to maintain control. Glidden has won his second of the season at 7.15, 192 miles an hour. But Scott Geoffrion leaves with the best light of the category over 4 days of .416. Almost perfect, right?
Almost perfect, Steve. Unfortunately, he got a little bit squirrely about half track, had to get out of the throttle, and that gave Bob Glidden his victory. And number 7 in the runner-up category for Scott Geoffrion. I'll tell you what, when he turns this thing around, he's probably going to win 7 in a row. But right now, the man of the hour is Bob Glidden. 7:15, 192 miles an hour. For all of those that thought he'd lost the handle, Bob Glidden is back.
Well, Bob, you've won a lot, but this one you'll never forget. A lot of great things happened.
Sure did, Steve. You know, we just got in by the skin of our teeth the last qualifying run, both cars. And as we went through the race, Rusty came right through, and we ended up running each other in the semifinals. And, you know, it's another one of these dream come true deals, you know.
You bet a 7:15 to cap it off.
7:15, that's good. I mean, really, when you win, it doesn't really matter what you run. At least that's the way we look at it. A win's a win, and we're tickled to death.
We're happy for you. Okay, Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, Glidden and Geoffrion had no real effect on the championship in pro stock, that having already been decided, but quite the contrary is true here. Cruz Pedregon and John Force are locked in a battle for the funny car championship. Every foot of racetrack seems to make a difference here, and this is going to be a magnificent confrontation.
I have a feeling, Brock, we'll look back at this race at the Texas Motorplex years from now and say that's where the 92 funny car title was decided, one way or the other. Austin Coyle and Larry Meyer, 2 of the best wrenches this category has ever known. Cruz Pedregon in his rookie year, he's gone through fires, explosions. He's done everything right. Brock talked to them.
Well, Cruz, of course, it could be that the championship rides in the balance here right now today. How will that affect the way you run this race?
Well, racing the defending world champion John Force, you know, we're, like you say, this title's probably on the line here, so I'm confident in the car. I'm going to have to pick up the pace as a driver, though. I'm going to have to be more aggressive, and, you know, I've always liked the pressure, and boy, I couldn't ask for more pressure than what I have here in front of me now.
We need to beat him here if we can, but mainly we need that national record. We really pushed it there to get a 10 just because he ran so good. But we need the record. We need to run a 05 with this thing if we can. Otherwise, you know, I need a miracle at Pomona, and I don't believe in miracles.
Well, he says he needs the record. Austin said it earlier because it's worth 200 points and 50 points because that also would be low elapsed time of the event. But you have to leave the race with a record at low ET. You can't sit at the mid-round and have somebody better it. But, of course, this is the final race. In funny car, Cruz Pedregon and John Force. Everyone here is on their feet. Pedregon smokes the tires. Force has smoked the tires. Force may have hit the wall. For sure he's hit the wall. Here comes Pedregon. And it is Pedregon. His crew cannot see through all the tire smoke. Neither can Force's crew to tell exactly what has happened. Technically, this race was over when Force tagged the wall. That would have disqualified him, but why ruin a good story? Might as well call it all the way to the line. Pedregon got there first no matter what, Brock.
Unbelievable. It looked like a demo derby, a short track stock car race or whatever. As we watch Pedregon immediately go up in smoke, he veers off course, and look at Force. He is out of control as well. He fishtails a little bit there, and as you said, As we can see from this other angle, Force heads for the fence, but gets on the throttle on and off. There, he whacks the wall, and that instantly disqualifies him, but John Force does not quit. As you can see, the throttle on and off with the flame pouring out of the pipes. You can see Pedregon in the other lane, also on and off the throttle, up and down on the RPM range, and he wins it by half a car length. What a race.
Well, Brock, down here at the far end, I can still hear the fans screaming. It wasn't quick, it wasn't fast, but what a show.
Steve, it wasn't pretty, but we won.
Describe it.
Well, our car blew the tires off. We overpowered the track. We were wanting to set the national record in the final round, and we just overpowered the track, and I felt it go away, and I thought, oh, it's over. Then I looked over and I saw John having trouble, so I just did everything I could. Throttle on, brake. I was out of control, but I didn't hit a wall across center line, and we got there first. We won. Doesn't matter how, but we won.
Were you even watching for us, or did you care? You had your own problems.
Well, once I saw he was having trouble, I was on a mission to get to the finish line first. And these cars, if you smoke the tires early, the momentum's not there. So pedaling I would only do that in that situation, the qualifying run or something like that. You take a chance breaking a drive shaft or hitting the wall. But yeah, once I saw him have a problem, I just went. I said, get to the finish line however you can.
You earned your driving stripes today, believe me, young man.
Well, I got to keep up with the crew. I have the best crew: McDonald's, Larry Miner, Coca-Cola Vintage Design. We couldn't be happier.
All right, let's go back to Brock.
Well, Steve, we've got some problems with John Force. He's still in the car. NHRA paramedics looking at him, checking him over. He seems to have been shaken up. Can you get a closer look?
Well, they're telling me now, Brock, when they first arrived on the scene, that he was unconscious. Obviously, he shut the motor off and got the parachutes out, and then apparently from the shot he took against the wall and maybe the emotional drain of seeing the championship probably slip away, John just took a little nap. He's going to be okay. He's a strong, tough competitor.
I'm Brock Yates along with Bob Fry and Steve Evans, and we've just gotten word that John Force is okay, and that's great news, Steve.
Oh, you bet it is. All right, here's some great news, too. Our Top Fuel final is on the line. We don't have to tell you who the fans here in Texas are rooting for. That yellow car behind Larry Miner, who owns the McDonald's car with Ed McCullough at the wheel. Now, no one knew that this race would go into the cool of the evening. We didn't think that national record was approachable. Well, it is under these conditions. And I'll tell you what, Kenny Bernstein will want his brewery back from McCullough, because if McCullough goes out and runs quicker than a 4.793, he would take 250 points out of the Bernstein column and put him in his zone. And that would put Amato into a giant points lead going into the final round. All right, just before these guys saddle up, as he has been throughout these final rounds, Brock Yates ambled over and had a chance to talk to both of these drivers to see their view of the final round of the Chiefs.
Well, Eddie, I suppose you could say that it's kind of home court advantage. This is sort of your home racetrack, and you got lane choice, but you're going against the ace. So how do you feel you're going to be able to react with all this pressure on you for the home fans rooting for you, and obviously a good feeling about running so well today so far?
Well, it feels good so far. I'm obviously going to need to leave on time, and the car's going to need to repeat or improve a little. It ought to be an excellent race. At this point, it looks like it could go either way. But we feel good with lane choice, and the home court advantage probably doesn't hurt.
Well, Brock, I believe that we've won here as much as Eddie has, and the track's gonna get better later in the day here. I think we got a fine shot at it.
Okay, you've heard from both the combatants. The talking's over. The driving comes next. 10,000 collective horsepower. McCullough, who put away Amato. Eddie Hill, who's put away everybody who raced today. The long nitro flames. Oh, I love drag racing at night. It is a spectacular scene. One of the greatest, I think, in all of motorsports. McCullough's ready. Hill's ready. Oh, Eddie Hill has a problem out the starting line. Look at McCullough go. McCullough. Oh, the ride of his life. 4.795. McCullough wins, and Bernstein is okay. That is not quite Louis T. or a national record.
All right, here is another look at that race. In the far lane, Eddie Hill on the throttle very hard, up in smoke. spoils the tires. That takes him out, but not McCullough, the ace. An awesome pass. As you can see in that McDonald's Top Fuel dragster in the near lane, straight and true toward a 4.79. 3/1000th of a second away from an absolute national record, and does keep Kenny Bernstein in the points chase. Let's go to Steve with the ace.
Well, Ed McCullough is a real warrior. He was in all those years in funny cars and in Top Fuel, and you like a throat-ripping win, right?
Every time.
How about a 4.79? Is that good enough?
All right. That's wonderful, Steve. Sitting there watching my teammate Cruz and John Force and his team, you know, they both went out, smoked the tires, pedal at the end. We all saw that. We were ready. My crew chief, Lee Beard, what a job the guy does. He's so consistent. He's got a grasp on this deal.
This car had to be like riding a rocket ship. The wheels in the air.
Well, we love it to go out there, get the front end up a little bit, carry it on out there, and let's go.
All right, a great day for the Larry Minor team. A double win here, their third of the season. McCullough, Pedregon, Glidden wins it in pro stock. For Bob Fry and Steve Evans, I'm Brock Yates. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P.
This Christmas, give Diamonds. Home videos from Diamond P Sports. Just released from the Diamond P archives, yet another dramatic classic, and they walked away 3. That's right, the third incredible installment of this all-time best-selling series captures motorsport's most perilous moments. Stock cars tangle and tumble on the oval high banks. NHRA drag racers experience terrifying infernos. Sprint cars dance too close and pay the consequences, and much more. While in each breathtaking incident, the driver beats the odds. To order and they walked away 3, call 1-800-257-9191 or send check or money order for $24.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. That's 1-800-257-9191.
Wait a minute. Did you beat me? I wasn't racing it. I bet. Best part of my race.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.